Hello. Turn my background music down a bit, just a touch. And the cats are antagonizing, not fully antagonizing each other. I was just, oh, everyone's so calm. This is great. We're gonna start. Everything's going to be very zen. And then I had a cat in my lap, and then the other cat approached, and it was like, I must run. And I was like, okay, that's fine. That's cats. Hi, Vesta. How you doing? Glad to see you. I've got, for once, I shouldn't say for once, I had a sudden burst of topics that I wanted to talk about on this live, like, within the half hour before the live started, which I think is ideally how this would normally go. I think ideally, normally I would have at least like a few short things to just bring up and yap about, but I've talked so many times about how sometimes when I come in with like the list and the notes and everything, then everything falls apart. But if I come in with no notes, then everything goes great. So today I didn't make notes. I just said, okay, brain, whatever you say. And by brain, I also mean channeling, because I do think I was channeling some stuff. And it was like sort of around the time that I was lighting up candles for deities and things, but also a little bit before that. And it was just like, I feel inspired. So anyway, it's all very dramatic, but I just thought it was funny. And I wanted to share that, just like, oh, I've got to go. I've got ideas. I can go. I'm ready. Let's go. Okay. Yeah, the catitude is ever present. As somebody who lives and works and hobbies mostly within 50 feet of right here, the catitude never goes away. But I love them dearly. I didn't get my water. It'll be fine. I'll fix it later. Should I fix it now? I should probably fix it now. Yes, unscripted live. Unscripted live, hell yeah. But also unscripted live, I left my water in the other room. Un momento, por favor. I mean, I have my, oh, that's, I thought I deleted that. Wow. There we go. That's the one I was looking for. I really need to name these better, clearly. Yeah, okay. Can you, if I leave, will it zoom in on the things behind me? No. Okay. One moment, please! While I retrieve the liquid, while I retrieve my, hydrogen dioxide? Dihydrogen monoxide, that one. Honestly, it is always a better live if it's chaotic anyway, so it's fine. And yes, of course, I sit back down. Different cat returns. Original cat in lap returns. Okay. Here, there we go. Everything's gone smoothly. There have been no issues. How are you doing, Vesta? Before I just start yapping, because once I go, I'll be going. I've got... Yes, hello, darling kitten. One of the things I do want to yap about specifically is like all of my little trinkets and bits. Like, I always think it's fun when the live is kind of a mini show and tell. I should do one of these as a Discord, like, video chat, where we all, everybody else gets to do their little show and tell bits. But I don't have like a pile of objects, but I was just like, magical trinkets and like non-magical but sentimental and symbolic, which like I would argue that's still magical, excuse me, but whatever you want to call it, are just like, I love those things. I mean, like charms, right? Like actual like objects that are charms. I love. It's like one of my favorite little things. I'm so much more likely to do a spell if I get a little charm out of it. So, ooh, new crystals. Good new crystals. Yes, I really haven't been buying any crystals because I have because I just have such a stockpile, and so many of them I didn't buy. Like, so many of them either I inherited or were gifts or whatever. Like, I mean, obviously I inherited more of them than were gifts, but I was just like, I probably don't need to buy more crystals unless I need something for some reason that's like really rare, or I just see something that I adore that I need. But, and a new small candle, lovely. I probably should make a candle run at some point. Most of the ones that are like my Odin candle, my Hermes candle, my mainstays are all set, but I think I have a candle for Archangel Michael up there, and like this little fidget trinket charm is a Saint Michael thing. Michael's candle's getting low. I gotta get a fresh Archangel Michael candle. I got him a really, really small one the first time. Like, it's still one of the little jar candles, but like the 7 days, but the tiny, tiny ones. I guess they're like 40-hour candles or something. But it burned like crazy, like in a really weird way. So it's been kind of fucked up since it was halfway done. It's fine. I did light that one today because I had this, and I was just... Vibes were light Michael's candles, so I lit my... and like, the angels never really care if you light their candles, but I was like, today feels like a Michael-y kind of a day. So I did light that. But yeah, that thing's been burning in an insane way. Like, it's... Yeah, doesn't matter. I digress. So, thank you for reminding me that I should probably go buy some candles. That is sweet of you to say. You haven't missed too many of my lives. You've made it to a number of them, and I always appreciate your support, and it's lovely to have you when you make it. Yeah, it's fine. Ironically, I did also, yeah. Everything's a little wonky. We love a little wonky. We love the weird. We love the strange. I do, truly, I love things that have character. So that candle has character. Is it a little fucked up? Teeny tiny bit. It's a little messy. She's a little wobbly. She's a little janky. But it's still a candle, kind of. Honestly, it's so janky that, like, you can barely see the flame. I don't know what I did, or if it was just the way the candle was made, but, like, the wick went... I said I digress. I was going to stop talking about this, but I was just like, it's funny. It's fine. Perfection is overrated. Thank you. I agree wholeheartedly. This is apparently also an accents day. Like, just... Don't ask me why. Don't ask me the rhyme or reason behind that. I would blame Hermes if I thought I could, but I don't think that's what it is. I mean, could be Hermes, but I was like, I would blame Mercury, but I don't think there's anything Mercury crazy happening right now. And like, yeah, again, Mercury gets such a bad rep, and it's partially deserved, but it's also partially not. It's fine. Mercury's fine. So, like, I shouldn't make a habit of blaming Mercury for things when there aren't even Mercury things to be blamed upon, especially when they're good things. That's what I was like. The accents are funny. They're weird enough to be entertaining. So I shouldn't frame that as a bad thing. It's not a bad thing. It's a good thing. Hermes, Mercury, whoever it may be that makes me do the accents, even if that person's just me, thanks. Mercury does know what's up. Mercury knows too many things. Mercury knows all the gossip. Mercury knows all the points of intrigue. Mercury always knows what's up. What Mercury does with that information, who knows? It's fine. Again, it's fine. I did say this is sort of like trinkets, and it's not like a full show and tell, but I love there's some weird, actually this will be my I found a segue, sort of. It's also a tangent. When I was first getting into the angel stuff, and I'd already been doing the like Hellenic adjacent things for a while, there's this like connection. I think it's like Hermetic stuff that makes this connection, or maybe I just found that at the same time, because there's the whole thing in like, you know, Western esoteric tradition or whatever, Western occult traditions with Hermetic things, and they're not exactly talking about Hermes, but they're talking about Hermes Trismegistus, which is Hermes the thrice great, who was this theoretically like a guy, but like is also Hermes and like is also Thoth, I think, or something. I don't. It gets crazy lore tomfoolery in Hermes Trismegistus land. But so one of the other things that I like ran into when I was finding all that stuff was this association between Raphael and Mercury, which is very funny to me because their vibes could not be more different. There was this, and it's a thing that we all still do, but I think we're all a little bit more conscious of it now. But in the rampant desire for research, knowledge, appropriation, just anything people could get their hands on in like spirituality and occult and stuff, so many of these things got the treatment of the like all of these completely different things are the one thing, are all the one same thing, right? And like the smallest instance of this, which is still a thing, would be, and this isn't even because people like conglomerated stuff together, but this is just kind of what happened, right? Would be the Greek to the Roman gods, right? Where like people think of Artemis in Greek and they transition to Diana in Roman, but Diana is not the same. Diana was like an already existing separate goddess who then got like integrated with Artemis somehow. Like that's my understanding of the history of that. And it's all very interesting. Like love that. I mean, love the story. But like if you were going to work with Artemis, you wouldn't just go and also Diana tacked on to the end of your prayers or whatever, right? Or like whatever task you're doing. Those are like separate entities. Similar thing with Venus and Aphrodite, right? Like they're really close. The myths overlap, right? Yeah, it's interesting, and people like some people talk about it sometimes, but it doesn't get talked about enough, and I actually really like this topic, obviously. So I'm like, ooh, I can ramble about this, yes. So yeah, Aphrodite and Venus are similar. I don't know the lore as in depth, but it's one of those things where like realistically, like I can tell, like as an Aphrodite worshipping person and etc., like I can tell when you just sub in Venus for something, Aphrodite is not super happy about it. And the yeah, yes, you're so real, you're so right, Vesta. But like, so if you're talking about like astrology things and you're doing something with Aphrodite and you correlate, you're working to the placements and transits and stuff of Venus, that's probably going to be fine. But if you, again, say the same thing, like say a big long prayer to Aphrodite and you mean for it to go to Aphrodite and you just say Venus at the end, then like it's a little cringe because like it's really close, right? Because the lore's gotten squished together, and because of all these kinds of things, like just the way that knowledge and culture works and how these things have blended, it's a reasonable thing to do that, but it's not like fully correct. And like I hesitate to use the word correct because who's to say? But in my experience, Aphrodite don't like it if you just say, "Oh, great Aphrodite, hit me up with some of that Venus energy," and she's gonna be like, "Really? That's what you're going with?" Hi, Christina. Welcome. You have entered wonderfully in the middle of my rant about correlations between gods and other gods that may be similar but are not technically the same. Because this gets into like hard polytheism and soft polytheism a little bit. It gets into a number of different bits and bobs into like how all this stuff works, or like how people treat it as how it works and how they interact with their gods and everything. Right? Like I would also not like that if I was her. I've I wonder, this may be a bad comparison, but stay with me here for a second. I've talked about my Catholic priest cousin. we share the same first name, aside from his, name within the church, which, is different. But, and if somebody, and we come from the same family. So we have the same first name, we come from the same family, we don't look dissimilar, we don't look the same, like, he has more hair than I do, even though he's older than I am, and he's taller than me, like, he's not my brother, we're just from the same family. But we're both also, like, very spiritual people. He is a Catholic priest, I am this. So, like, we serve similar functions, we have technically the same first name, like, legal first name from our parents, right? But if you come to one of the other of us and you start talking like you're talking to the other one, and you're like, you two have the same name, so you're like the same, right? Like, it's fine. Like, you're from the same place and you have the same name, so you're the same guy, right? Like, no. Different tradition, different practices, like, respect for each other, but we don't do the same thing. So, like, that's my view on the, like, Aphrodite Venus thing. Like, similar, related, not the same. Artemis and Diana, even bigger disparity between the two. And like if you, especially, oh my gosh, again, jumping into, like, magical history lore a little bit, right? But, like, the whole thing with one of the big things, or one of the big branches, I forget what the proper name would be, sects, I guess, of Wicca being Dianic Wicca. If you're a Dianic Wiccan and you're doing all your Dianic Wiccan stuff and you just put Artemis's name in the middle of something when you were supposed to say Diana, don't do that. Like, no one's gonna strike you down, but, like, why would you do that? Like, that ain't it, folks. So, all of this was to say, when I started working with, or getting into, at the beginning, the angel stuff, there was this association that Hermes and Raphael were the two entities that were correlated to each other, which was crazy to me, because they don't even really do similar things. Like there are connections and there are places you can make that jump from, and that's fine, and it's kind of interesting. But to me, it's just wild. Because as entities, their energy could not be more different. At the very least, like, if you go to Aphrodite, and if you have a conversation with Aphrodite, and you, like, okay, conversation over, and then you go to Venus, and you have a conversation with Venus, there are similarities in their energies. But if you go to Raphael, the difference between Hermes with his, like, kind of flirty, kind of jockish, but also kind of twinkish, side eye to Hermes. Hermes is cocky, half jock, half twink, like, flitting around, flying around, running all over the damn place, versus Raphael's very, like, calm, almost uninterested. Honestly, I don't think I've ever seen Raphael in any state of particular interest beyond, this is my job and this is what I do, so I'm going to do it for you now. And Raphael has helped me with stuff that Raphael didn't need to be the one helping me with. Honestly, maybe even he didn't. Maybe he just passed along the message. But, like, yeah, Hermes is not angel energy. Like, Michael's energy is more similar to Hermes' energy than Raphael's. I'm not saying Michael and Hermes are the same entity. But if you were going to compare Hermes to an angel, it would be, I mean, it would probably be Michael. You could also maybe make an argument for Satan. I don't know. But, like, yeah. So I think that's such a fascinating, funny, weird little quirk of everything. Of just, like, things that people do and things that people say on the internet. Of, like, you know what, y'all do you, go off, have fun. I don't, that ain't me. That's weird to me, folks, but have fun. I don't remember how I got on the topic of Raphael. I think I made my point. Ultimately, what I was gonna do was just show off my little Michael coin. Where's the focal distance on the minimum focal? That's pretty good. Can you see it? Can you see it? Yeah. So I love this thing because of the texture and everything on it. Also because Michael and like protection and stuff. It has a little prayer on the back because of course it does. But this is just like one of my little trinkets, one of my little charms that I carry around regularly. Not every single day, but regularly. Ironically, it's one of the many little trinkets and bobs I got from Kayla. And it was kind of at... It wasn't at the first point. Like, the first angel that I did start doing stuff with was Raphael. But eventually it became clear to me that Michael was interested, and this was just like an extra thing that Kayla had for reasons. And like Michael came up in the reading that week because we were hanging out and doing readings for each other, and like Michael came up in the reading, I think, or something, and then like had come up the day before, and then she was like, "Oh, also I just have this if you want it." So now this is one of my little trinkets, one of my little charms that I carry around as like a protection thing, as like it's got its own energy to it, right? And so I almost want to say energy boost. That's not quite right. Like it's not. Excuse me. I'm not like directly channeling Michael's energy and like taking it from this coin, right? But what is happening is in the same way that like an image of an entity, right, has some power. The same way names have power, like images have power. The whole thing about idols and false idols and all that thing, because images of entities have power, like of themselves. They don't have the same level of power that the giant big entity in the sky version does, but they have energy, and it's also like a flavor burst. That's hilarious. And they're also like a direct calling card, right? Like this is basically Michael's business card. You know what else is Michael's business card? His name. And I think I've also talked about this before too. You won't necessarily always go straight to Michael, but at the very least you'll get his receptionist, right? And his receptionist might be any number of random angels, but they all work for him, they all report to him, and he'll get the message, and whatever needs to happen will happen, right? So it's just like, yeah, it's just got enough juice to be like, there you are, buddy. It's like, it's honestly more than anything, it's like having the candle burning. The way that I talk about when I'm hanging out with deities in here, and like having their candle lit is obviously like partially it's an energetic offering to them, partially it's a nice ambiance thing for me. It's just pleasant. It's also like connecting the two of us in the same physical space, and it's like a place for their energy to live in the room, especially if they're an entity that doesn't have like a statue or something else. I have a card for Michael because I have that angel deck, which is somewhere around here. Yeah. You will find weird white light in your room? I will? What? I'm confused. I'm intrigued, but I'm confused. Like, are you just saying, like, with angels hanging out, there are weird white lights in the room? Because, like, I mean, that's kind of fair, but I don't usually see them that way. I usually just see their most human-adjacent form. But yeah, it's just, like, having this on me is like, it is like having the candle lit, basically, whenever I'm out and about and doing stuff, or if I'm just here, whatever. It's just having that connection, that thing that is your tether to an entity. I like it. It's fun to me. Yeah, I got you. Yeah. I see... I guess it's just because I'm used to them now. I probably have seen them as just like balls of weird white light. I mean, I say probably. I have seen them like that. Now I generally just see the entity. I don't see them clearly. Like when I see angels, yeah, I don't see 17,000 wings and 14,000 eyes, right? I don't see that version. And I don't see the I don't unless they're really trying to hide for some reason, which doesn't usually happen. I don't usually see them in just light. They look like a person. They may or may not have wings, but they still look like an angel. Like I can kind of visually see-ish the energy signature coming off them, because angels are so identifiable and have such a distinct energy signature to them. It's so much not like so many other things. Like there's this weird like type of fae that's kind of got similar to angel energy, but they're still clearly fae. Regardless, I don't even know what they're called, so don't ask. But yeah, so it's just at this point I just see angels as like a human-ish version of the angel. I don't know, but they amuse me. When I talk about having easier conversations with spirits than people sometimes, that doesn't apply to angels. Angels, like, it's fine. I can have conversations with them and it's chill. But it's not, like, I would much rather talk to any random nature spirit or underworld thing or, like, whatever. In terms of, like, ease of conversation. Because angels are just so, they're all kind of type A, but they also don't always agree as much as you think they should, because some of them have more experience, some of them have less, some of them have like they all have pretty staunch viewpoints. So it's only like the bigger ones that really get into this like level of open-mindedness. You know, it's a weird they're a weird crew, weird bunch, weird folks up there and down there and all around there. I just see a shadow form, but before I do, it's bright, but not bright at the same time. Interesting. I kind of like that. Bright, but not bright at the same time. That's fair. I can see that. I do, and this is a little behind-the-scenes peek for you guys. A lot of the times, when you guys tell me stuff like that, I'm not, like, keying into your energy, but I'm trying to key into the energy of what you mean. And I'm trying to like the image that was in your head when you wrote down those words, I'm trying to kind of see past the words and into the image that you were trying to transmit, right? So like I'm not getting into your stuff, but I'm getting into this thing that you were trying to share. And that's, you know, it's fun. It's interesting. It's one of those things that I do without really thinking. And I do try to like keep a cap on it, right? I'm not trying to dig in deep into every message I ever get, right? But it's interesting. So just the fun fact for you guys. I don't yell at Michael normally. I don't think I've ever yelled at Michael. I did. There was a time when Michael decided that we were going to sword fight. And I don't know if I've talked about this. I like got a sword from Michael, right? Like an astral sword. Excuse me. So I got this sword from Michael. It's like a flaming sword because he's Michael, and of course it is. And he gives it to me, and he's like, and now we spar. And I'm like, brother, you're Michael. You're like 9 feet tall in this version of you that you're showing me. Your sword is like another third as long as mine is. You're like Mr. Jim Bro, Jock, War Commander, Peacekeeper, whatever the fuck you are. And I'm just here, like, I'm just a guy, not even, like, you know, not to downplay myself, but I'm like, I'm not Michael, I can't sword fight you. And he's like, you want to bet, kind of vibe, and then we, that sort of astral sparring. What a weird experience that is. Fighting things in astral, weird experience, because you're always like kind of in like a quick time event, like a video game, because things have like, there are things that have already happened, but also like you're the thing that you can see most clearly, so you just have to like key into the moment that the thing is happening, and then you respond to it. It's weird. Yeah. Oh no, he thought it was very funny. Raphael was also watching that and was amused, I think. He wasn't like laughing, but he was kind of like snicker, right? That was a weird one. It was funny. It was weird. Like, I'm not saying I didn't have fun. I'm also not saying the little sparring match lasted very long. I did okay. I held my own for like a few seconds. It's still a cool sword. I like the sword. I digress once again. So yes, that's my anyway. I have a couple other random like Michael stories and things, but I was mostly just trying to show off my little trinket and talk about some of the stuff I associate with it. This one, this is one of my crystals. You guys have seen this before, I'm sure. This is yellow fluorite tower. Actually, that's interesting. The light, I guess it's also the light behind it partially makes it seem like it's more purple than it is, but yellow fluorite tower, it's got a little bit of that purpliness in it. So this one is, again, like sort of a daily trinket. It's not quite a charm, like it's just a crystal. But there are crystals that I resonate with better. There are crystals that I have more of a relationship with as a crystal type and an individual crystal. Yeah, I'll put it back up again for a second. I love this one. So yeah, yellow fluorite. I've talked before about how like fluorite is a huge help in like helping me focus. And I didn't know that when I first started to love it. I fell in love with fluorite in college. It was just like one of my favorite things. Like I anytime I would go into a crystal store with any of my friends or anybody, whatever. Like not every time would I walk out with a piece of fluorite, but like if I bought something, I probably bought a piece of fluorite. Like and amethyst. Like those were my two at the time. And they still kind of are, to be completely honest. But so there's something about the way that I interact with crystals where I'm trying to see kind of like what it's doing to, like I'm not just holding the crystal and being like, what do you do? I'm also like observing how my energy reacts to the crystal. I'm observing like what kind of happens in my brain, what kind of happens in my body. Like, do I tingle in a certain way or a certain, like, just what kind of frequency is happening there? Excuse me. Well, is there anything happening weird to my energetic field overall? And like, sometimes there is, sometimes there isn't. Like, I'm sort of looking at all of these different little bits to see what's happening and see what's changing. And like, one or two may or may not change, you know. But it's all just like, that's how I experience the crystals. And so that's how I know things like black tourmaline, I don't get a ton from, honestly. Like, I don't get a ton of responses like that. Like, there is a grounding effect. Like, I can see what people mean when they're like, it's like grounding or protective or whatever. But like, it just doesn't vibe with my stuff right. But tourmalated quartz that has little spikes of tourmaline through it, that I feel much more and much better because quartz is an amplifier, right? Like, and that's just, I have always experienced that to continue being true. It's one of those things that I just hear from, you hear it from the crystal girlies, like, and like, as a crystal girly adjacent person, like, person who has a fuck ton of crystals, and like, some of them I just like because they're pretty, and some of them I actually use for spiritual stuff, but like, that's always true of quartz. So like, having a piece of tourmalated quartz, I feel much more of what the effect that I'm supposed to be feeling than I do from just a piece of tourmaline. So fluorite never had that problem. It works like not immediately, but it works really well. And what it does is it's like, honestly, if I were going to compare it to some astrology stuff, the first thing I would compare it to would actually be a Saturnian, like a Venusian Saturnian energy. So it is very pretty. It does have a little element of like inspiration and creativity just because, ooh, pretty colors, pretty banding, lovely like structure, right? Like, I wonder if you can kind of, if I get it up close enough, if you can actually see some of like this, the other striations, like there's striations going this way in addition to the banding going this way. I don't think that's gonna show. But nah, it's not gonna happen. But it's okay. But so yeah, fluorite does a great job of not only making me feel a little bit more creative, but a lot more structured. This is my little ADHD key hack crystal, right? And before I technically knew that I had ADHD, before I even really suspected that I had ADHD, that's not 100% true. I suspected that I had ADHD in like middle school, but nobody took me seriously because I was really good at masking and did well in school. Anyway, so just what happens with fluorite, I've described it before as it's almost like there's this circuitry-like overlay that happens on like my brain. There's this like circuitry-like overlay happening on like my brain, you know? But truly, I pick it up and it feels like there's, again, like structured energy that moves primarily in like straight lines and right angles. To go like, okay, holding crystal here, doot, 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 and there's like a bunch of them, right? Like not just one. Like it looks kind of like nerves, but also like a circuit board. Also kind of sort of following the meridians, more or less. Excuse me. Speaking as somebody who has an extremely rudimentary understanding of the meridians, my best understanding of the meridians comes from seeing my meridians, doing my own energy work. Like I couldn't really point to them on like a body dummy thing, but I can kind of point to them on me a little bit sometimes. I'm not perfect at it by any means, but I can get the vibe. So it's like structured energy moving through my body and like going to my brain and like structuring out all the little bits and particles and like not putting anything in boxes, just directing everything on more direct paths. And I'm honestly more digital seeming paths. Like if my normal brain is like la 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 analog creativity dee 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 dee, then like picking up this crystal is like, oh, we just had why is that the thing that my brain chose? My brain chose that the analogy we're going to use is it's like a digital analog to digital audio converter. Where you take all of those extra cute analog lines and waveforms and all those things and all the things that people say like make record players and records have like hi-fi sound and all these things, which like if you compress digital audio, the record does have hi-fi sound. But if you're using a super hi-fi digital, then like, regardless, that's not the tangent we're on right now. But it's like taking all of those pretty little waveforms and amplitude changes and frequency changes and all of those things that are very analog and very organic and rounding them up or down to their like nearest denominator, their nearest like digitally prescribed area. That is what my experience is like when I hold a piece of fluorite. So you know when I used this most in college? Studying and finals. You know when I use it most now? As a fidget toy when I'm working. like this is the piece that sits on my desk. This piece rarely comes in my room. I do have a different piece of fluorite that actually does stay in my bed. I've also shown that one. It's my little fluorite sphere. It's like that big. I don't even know why it stays in my bed. There was a time, like similar to where I've talked about sleeping with my cards under my pillow. I slept with that specific fluorite sphere under my pillow. I love it. It's one of my favorites. It's just a comfort object at this point, I guess. I don't know. But, and so that one, it's a, like, more traditional rainbow fluorite. So, like, again, this is yellow fluorite. It looks yellow, because it is. That one's most predominantly purple. You can see a couple of the other colors in there. But I do have a different experience of the two, and like and it's not a grounding experience. It's just a directing experience, you know. So I think it's fun. This is one of my like, again, this is not technically a charm, but this is one of my in the category of magical charms and trinkets that I like and use often. This is one of them. Carnelian grounds me, and it's one that I tend to lose the most. That sounds like a Loki problem. I'm gonna be so for real. He's like, you don't need to be grounded. You need to be unhinged. You need to do whatever the fuck. Let's fucking go. Let that Carnelian put it down. Let's have some fun. That's what that feels like to me. But, you know, I'm not telling you. I'm not telling you how to do your stuff. I'm just saying that's what that seems like. I did. I do have some other little trinkets around. I thought about grabbing one more and I didn't, and I'm trying to think if I have another one nearby or not. We may be at the end of the trinket discussion. I do have other things I want to talk about today too. Anyway, like I said, I just got kind of inspired right before the live of like I have like 3 things I want to talk about. The first of us is pre Loki. Hey, it could have been. People lose stuff all the time. I'm not saying everyone you lose is because of Loki. But if Loki was at all kind of sort of around before you guys were formally working together, he might have just done it anyway. But also, you did say you have a fuck ton of Fae around too, right, or something? I forget, but I shouldn't be. Sometimes people just lose stuff. Sometimes there's not a spiritual reason, but I'm just saying. I did think some of the funny things that have been happening lately, because things have been, I went through a while there where I just had to focus on real life, and I do hate going real life because, like, to me, my spiritual life is real and vibrant and a thing. Like, it's almost like its own living thing. It's part of my life, right? But lately, I've been, like, the last week, basically just the last week, actually. Week and a half, maybe. I've had a little bit more room to breathe, and there's been more of my, like, normal spiritual stuff kind of, like, coming back, and, like the everyday stuff that I can, like, notice and be like, oh, yeah, that's what's going on there. And there was that is funny that it's always carnelian. Carnelian is a good crystal. I don't keep it on me all the time. I have a couple of pieces that I use for, like, special occasions, specific occasions. Carnelian is a good one, and I find it funny that it's that is. I also find it funny that that's the one that you always lose. But yeah, so I had a thought last night, right? Just I get back on normal spiritual things, like everyday spiritual things happening to me again now that I've had a little bit more room to breathe. Where I was in the middle of, I've been taking, like, online guitar lessons to try and, like, get better at electric guitar, because I know everything that I realistically need to know to be a mediocre acoustic guitar player. But I'm like, I would like to get better. So I've been taking lessons. I had to pause my lesson yesterday because I couldn't stop thinking the name of one of, like he's not one of my guides, but he's, like, I was trying to define this. He's not on my team, but he's kind of, like, in the crew, right? So I couldn't stop thinking about the name of this one entity. I was like, well, guess bro wants to talk. Let's go. And it was just very funny to me because I was like, oh, now? We haven't talked in months, but it's now. Okay, it's now. Got it. And so I, like, paused my lesson on the computer. I was like, all right, bro, let's have a chat. And, there were multiple things we had to talk about, some of which we don't need to go into here. But one of them that was so funny to me, I guess I'm being a little dramatic. It wasn't that funny, but it was just, like, because I haven't been doing my, like, regular meditations and haven't been, like, consciously going out into astral and doing all my normal work, I'm like, I've been in the state of, I assume whatever I really need to get done probably is getting done in my dreams. And he's just like, after we get through all of, like, the pleasantries and the, like, check-ins and the blah, 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 he's like, and so here's the thing that I'm actually for, and he hands me this, like, summons. And he's like, it's not a bad thing, I think everything's fine, like, you're gonna be okay, but they want to talk to you. And I was like, bro... Like, I was just over here minding my own damn business. I was in the middle of my guitar lesson. You're sitting here handing me this summons. I have to go talk to Hades. That's all it is. It's fine. It's normal. It's work stuff. But it was just like, bro, we haven't talked in months, and then you come and check on me, and you hand me a summons to go talk to the king of the underworld. What's up, man? What's up with that? But it was just funny, because it's like, Okay, things like this haven't been happening the last few months, the last like 3 to 6 months. So now we're back to the people in my crew can just show up at random times and be like, "We're having a conversation now." I'm like, "All right, sick, let's go, bro." I just thought that was very funny. I don't know why. Like it's very normal. It's very mundane, but it was just like, "Oh, this is happening again." That's great. I'm excited that this is happening again. I like doing things this way. Was I a little surprised? Yeah. But like, great, let's go. Let's rip, ride, zip, zap, zop. Let's fucking go. Yeah, guitar. I love guitar. I love guitar so much. I am, I forever ever ago, like a year and a half ago, when in like the first batch of when I first started doing lives, I pulled out my new guitar at the time, which I still have and love and is still like my prized possession pretty much. But and I was like playing on here. And I'm like totally fine. I'm great at playing my own songs. Anything I've written, I play real well. Playing other people's music, I will do a serviceable cover that I will like, but may not be faithful to the. I hate being really prescriptive with strumming patterns. Is honestly what it is. I would much rather play the chords in a fun way that feels good to me, than play the chords in the strumming pattern. But obviously, it's music. Rhythm is important. If you want it to actually sound like the song that you're trying to play, you have to kind of do the rhythm that the song is in and like use those strumming patterns. But most of the songs that I'm trying to play aren't guitar solo arrangements. They're not like singer-songwriter arrangements, right? Like most of the songs that I'm trying to play are like full band, if not like also synths and stuff, So it just feels better to me to be like, all right, I'm already making up for drums and bass and everything else. I'm just gonna play and do whatever the fuck I want. But yeah, I did decide, I was like, okay, I need to actually get better at the theory, because I'm like, I have a certain level of music theory knowledge and I have a certain level of guitar knowledge, and those two things do not overlap very well, because applying theory to guitar is kind of hard, because a keyboard, all of the notes are in front of you. All you have to do is remember which fucking one is which, and then like what's supposed to be flat and sharp in the key and the scale and the whatever. And like, I'm not saying that's easy, but it's easier than a guitar where it's a fretboard and you've got to like remember where all of the roots and aren't. So I've been practicing more guitar, getting to like apply the music theory that I already know to guitar more, which has been a lot of fun and very good creative outlet for me. Love that for me. But yeah, it's just, that's been one of my things that I've been doing for myself, and it does have me in that same sort of level of like it's intellectually challenging, but I also like my mind is open in a similar way to how your mind is open when you're doing spiritual stuff. So I guess that's why that was the moment that like the message came in and it was just like, all right, guess we're channeling. It's like we were like improvising and like getting better at, doing all this technical music theory stuff, but now I guess we're channeling, and I just thought that was very funny. So the other thing, and the one that happened today, right before the live, which made me chuckle, was more normal. Like it's pretty normal for those kinds of things to happen while I'm lighting the deity candles. I'm in conversation with whatever deity or entity I'm lighting a candle for, right? So there's some level of communication happening. Anyway, I was like going to pick up the, I was going to pick up the incense stick that I was going to burn to start off the live and get the vibe and blah, 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 blah. And I've talked about it before. Oh, I guess I shouldn't pick it up right now because it's all dusty and stuff. Incense dusty. But I've got my little incense burner that's technically specifically for Hermes, but usually when I'm lighting incense for live, like Hermes is the most likely candle to be lit during any live. Like if there's only one lit, it's usually Hermes. Occasionally I'll have one that's a solo Apollo, but like usually if there's one candle lit, it's Hermes. If the incense is lit for like the vibe of the live, it's probably like like it's half for me, right, and it's half for just the vibe, and it's also half for Hermes. 3 halves. So I went to go and like pick out the incense, and I was like, oh, why can't I like pick between these two? I feel like this is the one that I'm supposed to be doing, but this is the one that Hermes wants. And it was the like, futzing with it for like 2.5 seconds before I got the like, oh, you want incense more than Hermes does. You want this one. Hermes doesn't. I think it was Odin was picking it out. And it's like, all right, whatever you say, bro, let's go. So I've said that phrase at least 4 times in this live. All right, bro, whatever you say, let's go. Or something adjacent to that. It's fine. So, but the Hermes incense burner is the only one that I have right here. All of my other ones are scattered about the rooms and stuff. So I was just like, I was trying to be sly with it. I was trying to be like, so can I light the incense in the Hermes incense burner even though it's not the one that... And it's like, Hermes is like, no. And Odin's like, no. And I'm like, dang it. It's just like, so not a big deal. I can just go get another incense burner. But it's just, it's almost funny to me when I'm like, I'm trying to get around like my own things that I'm like, I know this is supposed to be the rule for the thing. I'm not burning, like, Odin won, basically. Like, I'm burning Odin's incense. Hermes doesn't want me to burn Odin's incense in his incense burner just because it's here and it's easy, it's convenient. Fine, I get it. It was just amusing to me. Okay. Have a good night, Christina. We're going to be wrapping up here in a second anyway. And thanks for coming. Yeah. I don't know. I don't know why I found that so amusing. I was just like, I think I just enjoy having the conversations and having the one-on-one interactions like that. But also, boy, was I just being lazy. I just thought it was funny, and I would share because I can. I had a whole other thing that I was going to talk about that I may make this as a short form video. I'm definitely not going to go deep into it now. I think it would be fun to make a video about all of the sort of current era pop girlies like Sabrina Carpenter, Chappell Roan, as like not epithets, but just as like sort of manifestations of Aphrodite energy. I think that'd be fun. It's not a hard leap. They're, especially the two of them, are very clearly like embodying and embracing their femininity in like ways as like a core piece of their artist identity and performance. Like, I think that's awesome. It's like, I would not be breaking any new ground by saying like, wow, these pop stars have like Aphrodite energy or Venus energy or whatever. But it's just like, I think that the manifestations, like the different levels of manifestation are really fun. Because Sabrina Carpenter's got this like perfect sort of bubblegum princess, but also sassy and smart, like, like that whole vibe going on. And it's giving Galinda, right? It's very Dolly. It's very Christina Aguilera. Like, if you sort of like it's, it's not the Britney vibe, right? So I'm just like pulling through like how all of these just sort of like the lineage of like the sort of top tier pop singers in different eras and everything are like manifesting in the current generation, and how that like relates to Aphrodite energy, and how like part of what makes Chappell great like is Chappell Roan is not like that at all, but is still like deeply like engulfed in feminine energy in a completely different way, and in a way that like so many people perceive as combative when it's not. Like it's the like I've done my work and I deserve to be here and I'm an artist, and it's like this aggressive a little bit more aggressive expression of art and femininity, and again like art as a Venusian theme. I love all of that. I don't know if I should go in deeper and try and like talk about it maybe more next week or something, but oh, hi Lyd, welcome. I'm just wrapping up. I'm sorry, but I hope you had a good nap. But yeah, so I like this idea of like, yeah, getting into pop music in the current era and how that works with Aphrodite vibes and energy and everything. I think that would be a lot of fun. I want to develop it a little bit more. Like I so hesitate to say this. I might make a short form video about it and actually post a TikTok again for the first time in fucking forever. I'm glad you got the rest. That's so important. I also took a nap before this. Not right before this. I was like, my new thing is I forgot how much I liked Sudoku, so I've just been like, when it is time to rest, I've just like listen to a podcast and play Sudoku, and I fell asleep at like 7 p.m. I just fell asleep playing Sudoku and listening to a podcast. I was like, well, needed that. Anyway, so yeah, I love that idea. I think that could be really fun. I want to work on it a little bit more. Maybe like write it out, but also edit it down and try and get concise with it. But I thought about going into it and using that as like a topic for this live, but I don't want to keep, we're at an hour. I also need rest. So we'll come back to it another day, whether I go into it on another live or whether I do eventually make that short form video. Or who knows, maybe I would make my first proper YouTube video. I don't know. I make no promises at this time. I just think it's a fun concept. For now, we are at our bibliomancy moment. Bibliomancy sectione. That, what I said. That was correct. You guys know how this works. Do your thing. I'm going to take a sip of water. General energetic affirmation. That whole dealio. My own thoughts of what was in this book made that way more complicated than it needed to be. I thought there wasn't going to be anything on this page. I thought this was going to be art, and I was like, that page is supposed to be art, isn't it? Nope, it's right there. I was right. My intuition and my senses and everything were totally fine. I should have trusted them, and this would have been selected 10 seconds earlier. It's fine. Okay. Ooh, okay. This is an interesting one. This is passage 30. So there's information to take into the week, into the next week. Use Tao to help rule people. This world has no need for weapons, which soon turn on themselves. Where armies camp, nettles grow. After each war, years of famine. The most fruitful outcome does not depend on force, but succeeds without arrogance, without hostility, without pride, without resistance, without violence. If these things prosper and grow old, this is called not Tao. Not Tao soon ends. Love this book. Okay. So, use the Tao to help rule people. Work with the way that things are. Work with the natural flows of the universe. Do not force and impose your crazy strong will on everything. Allow the way that things work to be the way, like, to help you do your job in governing your life. If you are in charge of other people, in governing other people. Like, if you're a parent or if you're whatever, right? Use Tao to help rule people. Like, in that same way of, like, letting kids embrace the thing that they're good at. Yes. This world has no need for weapons which soon turn on themselves. Where armies camp, nettles grow. After each war, years of famine. The most fruitful outcome does not depend on force, but succeeds without arrogance, without hostility, without pride, without resistance, without violence. If these things prosper and grow old, this is called not Tao. Not Tao ends soon, or soon ends. Things that are not of the way, things that are not of the Tao, will come to their end. They will burn out, they will die, they will kaput. The Tao is everlasting. All the natural ways of the world. You'll be alright, baby! Alright. That's us for the week, folks. I like that one. That was a good one. It's like kind of got a clickbait title. Just use Tao to govern people, to whatever. I already forgot it. It's fine. I'm gonna go get some rest. Thanks for joining me, everybody. Appreciate having you guys here. Hope that everybody has a lovely night. Hope that everybody's holiday tomorrow is good. And that, like, your weekend is great. Everybody be well. Appreciate you guys. I'll see y'all next time. Goodbye.